All right, there are already 3 students who answered 4. Last 2 para ma-complete na natin, 5, and then last 1 na lang. Last 1 na lang po para tayo ay makapag-start na ng discussion. By the way, I recorded this video so that if there will be classmates who will be coming in, ay meron silang mapapanood na video na napag-usapan natin today. Sino pa yung hindi nakasagot? Meron pang isa? Sige, habang ginantay natin yung sagot niya, majority of you, if you notice in our screen, the word ethics and morality, siyang pinakamalaki, ibig sabihin mas maraming sumagot ng ethics and morality. Parang your idea about philosophical values would be about ethics and morality. Meron din nagsabi ng virtues, okay, pwede rin yan. And ayan, yung pang-anim na sagot na. Personal values. So, yung tatlo na pinakamalaki ay personal values, ethics, and morality. So that is according to your own understanding of what philosophical values are. All right. Thank you so much for your participation. May I request everyone to open their camera, please? Kasi kukonti na lang tayo, tapos magiging monotonous pa ako dito. Parang kausap ko lang sarili ko. Okay lang mag-coffee kung gusto nyo. Pwedeng kumain, no? Nasaan ka ngayon? Batangas kayo ngayon, ano? Okay. Maulan ba dyan? Maulan din. Alright, the same. Alright. So, actually, when you say philosophy, as I mentioned, it is a very broad topic. And the philosophy is the mother of all sciences, no? Lahat ng subject matters natin, palagi may philosophy. Even the foundations of education, meron din siyang philosophical underpinning. So therefore, it's a broad topic that we need to concretize. What do we mean by philosophical values that is related or that are related to educational management? And there are 3 philosophical questions that we have to understand. Like the first one is, who am I? That's the first philosophical values. For us to have a good values or good ethics, I mean, ethical in nature, we should know who we are, no? And our first question is, who am I? What it means to be a human person. Hindi po pag sinabing, as a human person, what is our role? And how are we different from non-human beings? We are animals, according to science. The highest form of animals, the sophisticated form of animal that was created by the Creator, of course, our Papa Jesus, no? So, sabi nga nila, madaling maging tao, mahirap magpakatao. So that's the first philosophical question that we need to understand. We need to know ourselves first, no? Know thyself is the beginning of understanding other people also. Kaya minsan, ang bilis nating magkaroon ng judgment sa ibang tao, but we cannot judge ourselves. Madaling maghanap ng kakulangan ng ibang tao, pero tayo pala marami ding kakulangan. So that's the first philosophical question that we need to ask ourselves if we want to have a good philosophical values, no? Who am I? So mamaya after ng klase natin, hindi ko papasagot sa inyong ngayon yan. Mamaya that will be your reflection, no? The second philosophical question is, where have I come from? Where have I come from? No? Because there are two levels, question of location and origin. Our values are sometimes, di pala, most of the time, are affected, are influenced by our origin and our location. Bawat probinsya may kanya-kanyang mga values yan. May kanya-kanyang mga pamahiin, may kanya-kanyang mga traditions, no? And wag na tayong lumayo, bawat family na lang may kanya-kanyang may kanya-kanyang mga behavioral presentations. And that's why in psychology, there's a saying na there are no two persons that are the same. No two persons that are the same. Ibig sabihin, we are unique in our own ways. So we should not be comparing ourselves to another because we are different from them. And therefore, when we ask ourselves, where have I come from? That would probably explain why our behavior and attitudes are like this and like that. There must be a cause for every behavior. And please take note that our behavior is developed inside the family, inside our homes. Ang kauna-unang nagbibigay sa atin ng mga values ang ating parents. Sila yung ating mga first teachers na nung hindi pa tayo nagpupunta sa school, wala pa kami mga teachers ninyo, parents ang una nagturo sa atin ng mga values natin. No? Kaya nga minsan, pag merong hindi magandang ginagawa ang mga bata, attributed yan sa mga parents. Ibig sabihin, hindi nila dinevelop yung mga anak nila ng maayos. On a positive note, pag meron namang magagandang achievement ang bata, attributed din sa parents. Yan, ibig sabihin, ang galing ng parents, ang galing na nagpalaki dyan, ang galing na naggabay dyan. Napaka-behave ng bata na yan kasi mga magulang ay tinuruan sila maging behave, maging maka-Diyos, makabayan, at makakalikasan. Taga-DepEd ba kayo? Hindi. Sino taga-DepEd dito? May I know?
Ronald Enriquez po, sir.
Ronald Enriquez, what is your may I know your the kind of work that you're doing with DepEd?
I am Principal 3 at DepEd po.
Very good. Next, si Miss Irene. Ano po ang inyong work, madam?
Ako po, sir, I'm working in a private school here in Batangas City. Ako po ay isang early childhood teacher.
ECE teacher. So nakaka-relate ka sa mga sinasabi ko kanina na yung ugali ng bata ay nanggagaling sa bahay yan. Malaking impluwensya ang mga magulang. No? Thank you so much, Miss Irene. Kaya pag ang magulang pasaway, panigurado pasaway din ng mga anak. Kasi modeling yan role modeling yan. Kinakopya lang naman Imitation, no? Imitation is very evident, especially now that we are in the pandemic situation. Most of the time, kasama ng anak ang mga parents nila. So they're just imitating what they're seeing from their parents. Kaya pa nagmumura yung bata, panigurado yung mga magulang nagmumura din, panigurado. Miss Cherish, what would you like to cherish? Hindi, joke lang. Where are you connected?
I am a college professor po in Immaculate Conception College of Balayan Incorporated.
Balayan Incorporated. Talagang parang mga purong Batanggenyo ala A. Tama ba? Ala E? Alright. Naalala ko nung nag-work ako sa Tagaytay. Nag-work ako sa Tagaytay. Malapit na yun sa Batangas Konti na lang malapit na no. Di ko lang alam kung gaano kalayo yung Nasugbu. Kasi pag bibiyahe kayo, may madalas ako tulog from Tagaytay to Batangas, mga 1 hour. May Talisay, Nasugbu, no? Sige, namimiss ko tuloy yung Batangas. Miss Maria Cristina. Are you there? Or picture lang yan? Yan, nag-ano siya, nag-hang. Hindi siya gumagalaw. Babalikan kita pag gumalaw ka na. Sir Francis.
I'm connected with the University of Batangas.
Okay.
Currently an employee, pero before ako maging mapunta sa office, I was teaching full-time for 3 years sa College of Business and Accountancy.
All right. Okay. Nagpapa-accredit kayo sa Pacocoa?
Yes, Doc.
All right. Okay, sige. So thank you. Next, ayan, bumalik na si Miss Isla. Kayo po ba ay nasa Isla pa din?
Sir, sir, wala po talaga kami kuryente ngayon. Kanina po 6 a.m.
Oo nga. Marami nga mga power interruptions kasi malakas yung ulan tsaka
Opo.
malakas yung hangin. I understand. Pero thank you for
Opo.
attending.
Malakas din po ang ulan ngayon.
Yeah, despite the
Lakas din
difficulty.
po ng ulan dito ngayon.
Opo. So where are you connected, madam?
Connected po ako sa Batangas Prime Colleges. Nasa admin work po ako. Bali, admin controller po ng school namin. Then at the same time, part-time teacher po sa senior high school at saka po sa college department po.
I see. So teaching. Nasa teaching pa din pala. Teaching and admin. Mostly admin siguro. Tapos part-time yung teaching. Alright. So last but not the least, Michael Jan. Where are you connected?
I am instructor po sa Batangas State University Aras of Nasugbo po.
Okay. Anong subjects?
Professional courses po.
Professional courses. Alright. So thank you. Dalawa pala ang galing sa UBAT, no? The rest, college professors. And meron din si Ma'am Isla ay admin and part-time teaching. Kilala niyo ba itong Dolores Villa-Biza? Classmate niyo ba to? Okay, hindi ko tatanggapin. Kasi wala siya sa wala siya ron sa GC eh. Baka mamaya intruder yan, pasabugin yung Zoom ko eh. Baka biglang biglang mag-show dito sa ating klase eh. Meron mga ganun, biglang papasok kaya biglang maghuhubad eh. Bawal yun. Bawal kay Miss Irene yun. Ako, magtatakip na matayan si Miss Irene. But kidding aside, I am also in the field of education, of course. I forgot to mention. My name is Dr. Alvin Uki and I am currently connected with the Department of Education. I am appointed as hindi pala appointed. My designation is Public School District Supervisor in one of the districts of Bulacan. So I'm from Bulacan, dito sa Bulacan. All right? So, kaya ko tinatanong yun kasi the questions are, when you answer the questions, they must be related to the kind of work that you're doing. Again, I will repeat, there are 3 philosophical questions that are involved if we would like to improve our philosophical values, our values rather. One is who am I, meaning to say we need to know ourselves, know thyself, no? Ibig sabihin, what it means to be a human person and how to become a human person. At paano maging tao. No? Sasagutin niyo yun. And second, where have I come from? You're going to make an analysis of yourself, of pag sinabi mong who am I, ang karugtong noon, where have I come from? Parang that will explain why you are like that. No? You may trace the sources of your values, of your philosophical values. You may say that the values that you have right now, you adopted that from your parents or your mother gave that to you or your grandparents, kung sino man ang nag-influence sa inyo. Pero mahalaga yung question na where have I come from? No? And the last but not the least is what do I ought to do Ethical question which can be taken in particular or general way. Example, the honest student, the question of good life. No? What do I ought to do? Ibig sabihin, para ako yung maging mabuting tao, ano ang dapat kong gawin? So those are the 3 philosophical questions that we will be focusing on in our next discussion. That will be your assignment. Pero hindi pa tayo tapos, binigay ko lang muna yung assignment. That will be your assignment for next meeting. Each one of you will share their answers related to the questions, who am I, where have I come from, and what do I ought to do? Because those are the 3 philosophical questions that you need to answer. And of course, speaking of philosophy, there are various dimensions, no, of man by producing the good for the soul or the mind, no. Actually, maraming example niyan. One of them is, if you are familiar with Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, no, from physiological needs up to self-actualization. So, ibig sabihin, tayong lahat ay dumarating doon. Sampulan ko lang, di ko i-discuss in details. Sasampulan kayo, halimbawa, physiological needs according to Maslow, everybody needs food, shelter, clothing, no? Of course, air, water, lahat ng basic needs nandun. Meron pang dagdag yun, kung nabasa niyo yun. Meron pang sex, no? Kaya lang, sa Christian, sa Catholic beliefs, sa Catholic teachings, that yung huli kong sinabi, after marriage. Hindi porket basic physiological needs, kahit sino nalang makita mo, ay pwede na. Di wala na tayong pinagkaiba sa aso. pwede na sa kalsada kahit saan. So that's according to Abraham Maslow. And yung pinakamataas niya, yung self-actualization. Actually, yung self-actualization would mean that your philosophy is not helping yourself anymore. It's about being matured enough and being contented with what you have and being happy, and therefore you would like to share the blessings that you have with others, no? Yun ang self-actualization. Hindi ka maramot. Ikaw ay nagtumutulong, nagbibigay. Dumating ka na sa point na hindi na sarili mo lang ang tinutulungan mo kasi tapos ka na doon. Pero lahat tayo dumadaan doon. May time na ang priority natin, sarili muna natin. Tapos naganap tayo ng self-belongingness, no? Naganap tayo ng mapapangasawa natin, magiging boyfriend nyo or girlfriend nyo, no? Parang ganun. Hanggang sa ganun yun, pataas ang pataas yun. So yun, si Maslow's hierarchy of needs is an example of philosophy that can be a guiding principle in understanding human beings. What is important here, actually, para siyang psychology din, that for us to understand the persona of a human being, we also need to understand the needs of that person. No? Kaya meron tinatawag sa psychology na root cause analysis. What are the causes? Kung tayo yung mga teachers, bakit ba yung mga estudyante natin ay ganito ang behavior? Dapat alamin natin yon. Bakit yung mga estudyante natin tamad umattend ng online classes, pero active palagi sa ML nila, sa Mobile Legends nila? at sa public school naman, bakit ang mga magulang ay sa sobrang pagmamahal nila, sila na sumasagot sa mga module ng anak nila? Sa mga ganon, we need to understand that. No, we need to trace the root cause. And meron pa tinatawag na Viktor Frankl's distinction between means to live and meaning to live for. So magkaiba yung means to live and meaning to live for. Can anyone tell me kung anong idea niyo sa dalawang statement na yon? We have the means to live and meaning to live for, according to Viktor Frankl's. Anyone? Para marinig ko naman na maganda at pogi yung boses. Anyone?
Hello, sir.
Yes,
Yes.
Sir Ronald, ang ating principal.
When we say means to live, so let's say our means of our occupation, our our current position, our current occupation is our means to live. And when you say meaning to live for, I would say that it's one of us has the meaning to live for another person, another individual, because it's our mission here on earth to live for another. Because I do believe that no man is an island, so we have to live for one another. So that's my idea, sir.
All right, tama. Ganun, Miss Irene ang sagutan. Pang panalo na yun. Pang Miss Universe ang sagot. Yes, Miss Irene. Tingnan natin kung sino mas mananalo sa inyo.
Okay, so when we say means to live, sir, say means it is your way or a system or your conduct on how you live your life, in a sense that how are you able to attain your needs, the ones that you have mentioned earlier. That's your means. For example, as what Sir Ronald mentioned, it is your work, the source of your income, your livelihood. That's the means to live. When you say meaning to live for, it has something to do with in a deeper sense, your purpose. Like, for example, a man can have a good means to live, but somehow he is lacking the meaning to live for. And that's where the danger comes from. When you're just existing, but you are not living, because you cannot find the meaning in your life. You cannot find the very purpose of your existence. That's all, sir. Thank you.
Okay, perfectly said. I think it's a tie. Walang nanalo, walang natalo. It's a tie. So you are both correct, no? You were able to explain the meaning of those phrases excellently. But what is important is we live because we have a purpose in life, or purpose-driven life natin, kumbaga. Kasi sayang naman ang buhay natin kung nag-exist lang tayo sa wala lang, no? Dapat meron tayong reason why we are here. Meron tayong mission kung bakit tayo nabubuhay. So that is according to Viktor Frankl's, and according to Aristotle, philosophy begins when we start to wonder. That's why asking question is not a sin, it's not a mortal sin. Even the younger learners, yung ating mga preschoolers, they tend to ask questions why and why and why and why and why. No? Marami yung tanong na minsan mapapakamot ka na lang ng ulo sa dami ng tanong nila. And according to Russell, in philosophy, questions are more important than answers. Ang mahalaga, yung mga estudyante natin, yung mga tayo mismo ay nagtatanong. Kaya ang pagtatanong, hindi ibig sabihin nun, ikaw ay sumasalungat. Gusto mo lang maliwanagan. You would like to be clarified on certain matters that you need that you need to understand. No? So, asking question is a good way of learning. Asking question is a level of the critical thinking of a person. No? The more questions the person has, or the better the critical thinking is. Ibig sabihin, pinoprocess niya, nagpo-process sa utak niya yung mga topics na yon. So there's nothing wrong in asking questions. We just need to be careful in providing answers para we are not, kasi we educators can make or break, no, the the future of our children, of our learners rather. That's why it is important that we ensure that we are role model to them. Para yung mga tanong nila, minsan kahit hindi natin sagutin, nakikita nila sa atin. No? Kaya meron kayong sagot kanina na morality. Yeah, that's right. No? Morality begins among ourselves. Dapat makita yun sa atin. And of course, when I said kanina that we need to know ourselves, know thyself, there is a process of knowing. Because knowing is a relation between the self and not self. The relation between the self and not self. And knowledge is widening of one's horizon. Once we ask question and the question was properly answered, it widens our knowledge. It widens our understanding of the matter, of the subject matter. So knowing or learning is not dominating the object of thought. It is a process of adjusting ourselves to accommodate the other. Akala nila, ang philosophy ng pagalingan ay yung pagdo-dominate. No. When you dominate, that is parang unethical in nature. We are in a democratic country, no? Dominating would mean exercising your power without consulting your people. Because you're under leadership, of course, it is important to know that once we become leader, there should also be a room for listening and understanding the voices of our people, of our subordinates. No? So yun ang basic philosophical values that we need to know. And therefore, kung ready na kayo, I have here another topic in connection with ethics. Because sabi ko nga sa inyo, very broad ang philosophy, but I will be picking just the more important ones, and I'd like to share the ethics that are involved in conducting a research paper. Have you heard of this?
Yes, sir.
Are you familiar already? Do you think I need to lecture this or no more?
Ano lang, sir po, very few lang po ng background kasi parang konting touch lang siya nung sa aming advanced research subject. Pero hindi po talaga kami nag-focus sa ethical considerations.
Good, very good. All right, so one of the philosophical values, of course, let us not be very technical kasi this is graduates, this is PhD level. Dapat dito mas maraming application more than theoretical knowledge. Kasi yung mga theoretical knowledge na yun, mababasa nyo naman yan sa sa mga references na ibinigay ko sa inyo. But what is important is that we need to be knowledgeable about the ethical considerations in research. And the ethics in research is actually the moral principles in guiding research, or the ESRC, according to ESRC in 2004. These are the sets of moral principles or norms that are used to guide moral choices of behavior and relationship with others. No? So meron kang norms na dapat mong sundin. And of course, we have the moral choices, no, of behavior. And of course, hindi mo wala yung tinatawag nating good relationship with other people. So if you're familiar with Nuremberg Code, this is what you call voluntary consent of the human subject is essential, meaning to say that when we conduct any kind of research, there must be a voluntarism, no? Voluntarism. Ibig sabihin, gagawa ka ng consent, informed consent, that the respondents agreed to be part of your research paper. An experiment should yield fruitful results for the good of society unprocurable by other methods or means of study, and not random and unnecessary in nature. Because most of the time, especially during the non-pandemic, researchers would use experiment type of research, no? Ito yung mga basic principles of experiment. Experiment should be designed on a knowledge of the problem under the study, that the anticipated results will justify the performance of the experiment. Meaning to say, you conducted an experiment because that is needed. It's very timely. I think that is very timely because at this point in time, actually last year pala, we need the vaccine, and these pharmaceutical companies have no choice but to test the efficacy of the vaccine, no? So yung pag-conduct ng experiment na yun, that is ethical in nature because everybody needs that vaccine. So no experiment should be conducted where there is a priori reason to believe that death or disabling injury will occur. Kaya nga importante na ina-approve ng ating FDA yung mga vaccines na ibinibigay sa atin. At alam dapat natin yung mga certain level of efficacy of the vaccines that we are receiving, no? So it is unethical when after vaccination an injury happens after the vaccination. So that is unethical. The degree of risk should never exceed the humanitarian importance of the problem to be solved by the experiment. And adequate facility should be provided to protect the experimental subject against even more remote possibilities of injury, disability, or death. Ibig sabihin, isa lang sinasabi nito, pag binasa natin lahat yan, that whenever we conduct research, especially if the research is experimental in nature, our research should not produce harm or injury or disability to the subject, no? Yun lang yung sinasabi ng code na to. So there are typical risks, research involving ethical risk. Halimbawa, vulnerable groups. Sino ba yung vulnerable groups? These are children and young people, those with learning disabilities or special needs, no? So that's why when we identify a topic or topics for research, and we identify also, of course, part of our research would be the respondents. These children and young people and with learning disabilities should not be part of our research paper because there is an ethical risk. Lalo na yung mga very young kasi they do not know what they are going to answer yet. So hindi ka pa makakakuha ng tamang sa kanila, information. Another ethical risk is sensitive topics. In the Philippines, we have topics about sexuality or illegal activities or people's experience of abuse or violence. Why? When we say sexuality, we know that we are a Catholic country, and when we discuss about sexuality, there is a big possibility of debating. No? Kung sa ibang bansa, normal na, yung LGBTQ accepted na, dito hindi pa, sa Pilipinas, hindi pa siya. So, as much as possible, do not touch on those topics. Do not touch on topics like abuse, no, or violence, because you will just be exposing the respondents to reminiscing of the previous violence or abuse. Imbis na siya nakapag-move on na, pero dahil siya pinagkwento mo through your research, no, ng kanyang mga bad experiences about abuse and violence, di lalo ka nag-create ng emotional distress sa respondent. Access to confidential element of deception such as covert observation used without a participant's full or informed consent. So it is important that you ask the respondent of what's going to happen in the research paper and what's going to be the benefit of the research paper to the participant. Kung wala, huwag kayong maglalagay. Yun ang element of deception. We do not use this deception na to. And when they agree that they will be part of your research paper, they should sign an informed consent. Access to confidential records or information, of course, we have the Data Privacy Act, no? That we do not divulge, we do not present informations that are very personal, sensitive, and even the medical conditions of the subjects, no? And then activities leading to stress, anxiety, or humiliation amongst target groups, of course, that is also not allowed. Kasi kung ang paper mo, ang research paper mo ay mag-create ng stress and anxiety or humiliation to the people or the respondents that you would like to work with, that is unethical in nature. All right? So, in summary, the ethical principles are first, to avoid harm to participant. Instead, it should produce benefits and ensure informed consent of participants, respect the privacy of participants, and avoid the use of deception. So those are the main ethical principles in research. Do you have any questions so far? About the ethical principles of research na shinare ko? May ano ba, bago ba yung mga binigay ko knowledge or luma na alam nyo na dati pa? Ha? Alam nyo na dati pa?
Narinig na sir sa seminar when I attended the seminar about ethical issues in research one time. So narinig ko na, but not so well understood, sir.
All right. So ngayon mas
That-
malinaw.
That will help us a lot in preparing our
Dissertation.
yes, sir.
Very good. Okay. So you just need to follow those 4 principles and take note of the Data Privacy Act, no? And siguro nagulat kayo about the involvement of very young, kasi minsan sa study natin ini-involve natin yung very young learners. Dapat di sila kasali kasi merong ethical risks. Why? First of all, wala pa sila sa maturity age. Baka mamaya hindi pa sila makapagbigay ng tamang mga responses, no? So as much as possible, ang maturity age natin sa Pilipinas is 18 and above. Kaya safe na siguro yung senior high school kasi ang senior high school natin nasa mga 18 and above na siguro yan as our respondents, but not the pre-LM or LM, no? Masyadong bata sila para maging respondent. So I think those are just the beginning of our discussion. I'd like to start by saying yung mga binanggit kong philosophies, at the same time ethics in research. We will be discussing more in our next synchronous learning, no? But of course, for our next meeting, you are required to present not too lengthy presentation about the answers to the 3 questions that I provided you. And do not worry, kung ano, during that time, hindi ako magre-record, syempre, kasi personal nyo yun. Ano lang yun, sa atin lang yun. For the purpose lang of knowing the different philosophical values that we have, and in further understanding oneself, para tayo magre-recollection ngayon, ano? In further understanding ourselves, we need to trace, no? We need to trace the origin, no? And the reasons why we are like this and like that, no? Of course, I am assuring you na hindi natin lalabagin ang data privacy ninyo. Kung ano lang yung gusto nyong i-share, of course, you are welcome to share. Yung mga ayaw nyo i-share, pwede namang itago nyo na lang. Alright, so I guess that would be for today muna. Kasi I will be preparing pa more topics that I think can be utilized and be related to your program, kahit elective lang siya, pero gagawin ko siyang i-relate ko siya sa major ninyo, which is educational management, no? Kasi lahat naman tayo rito mga educators. All right? And I will not make it very technical, kasi knowing the different philosophers is very technical, and memorizing the different principles is very technical. We will be just selecting those principles that are applicable to our current situation, which is education. Okay, so before we end, do you have any clarifications or question? Did you learn something kahit konti lang from our sharing?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Meron
sir.
naman-
I learned a lot from you, sir. Though it's little, but it's helpful for us, for each one of us, for this educational management as our specialization.
Tama. Thank you so much. So expect next meeting that we will be having more discussions pa, that I will relate these philosophical values in the area of educational management or education. Hindi ko na ilalayo, dapat related siya para magamit nyo rin siya. Alright?
Ganda.
Okay. Ano po yun, Madam Isla?
Thank you po.
Okay. Sige. Okay. Bakit next time, Madam, maglagay ka ng kahit kandila dyan sa sa harap mo para medyo lumiwanag ng konti.
Pasensya na po talagang wala na pong kuryente.
Walang
Kulimlim pa po sa amin.
Walang kuryente, buti yung mo ay may meron pang battery. Paubos
Sir,
na.
konting-konti na lang.
Kaya nga.
Buti sir, mag-e-end na tayo. Salamat
Kaya nga
po.
Sige, kaya tinapos ko na kagad dahil alam ko meron mga areas na malalakas ang ulan, na mahirap yung connectivity, and I do not want to prolong your agony. Anyway, what is important is we already had it may be short, but I think it is an interesting topic, no? That is related to your PhD or doctorate program. Meron pa po bang magsasalita? Anyone? Before we end? No more? All right.
Sir,
Yes po.
question lang.
Mhm.
Sir, magkakaroon po ba kami ng reporting din sa subject?
Hindi, ayoko ng reporting. Kasi doctoral level to eh. That's my bad news nga pala, no? Hindi ako nagpapa-reporting. I am more of sharing of your knowledge, of your experiences. I am not too technical. I may be sharing some technical topics, pero little lang yon, more of experiential. Kasi doctoral na to. Kaya nga seminar on philosophical values, dapat ito application na of the different philosophical values in real life situation. So I am sorry kung na-frustrate ko kayo, hindi po ako nagpapa-reporting. That's my bad
Good news yun, sir.
good
Actually, that's
news ba
good
yun?
news. Apo, that's good news. That's not bad news. Don't apologize.
Hindi ako
Nagbabasa ng
nagpapa-reporting.
agony.
Yes.
Oo. I do not want to add to the mental distress. Mental health is very important at this point in time. Alam ko lahat tayo ay busy, so I do not want to add to your mental distress anymore. Gusto ko po nag-discuss tayo light lang muna, no? Pero yung sharing naman, may laman naman, hindi naman light na lumutang lang na wala naman laman. Meron naman siyang laman. Light siya in the sense na it's not very formal, it's sharing, no reporting. Of course, you will participate in our sharing. Like next meeting, mag-sharing kayo based on the 3 questions that I gave you, no? Okay lang ba yun sa inyo na wala tayong reporting?
Okay, sir. That's good news. nga
Okay
po
na,
eh.
okay.
Yes, sir. Okay na okay po, sir.
Sir,
Lalo
yung
na sir
po.
sa akin. I'm so busy, the busiest person in the world. Ay ako na po 'yon because I go to my office every day.
I understand. I am a PSDS. Meron tayong OPCRF
Sir,
validation.
Preparation. Yes, sir. Preparation of OPCR, MOB, sir. So
Oo.
many,
I know.
work. So many works to do, sir, in the office, sir.
Ganon din yung mga principals na under sa akin. busy sila. Kasi nga next
Yes,
week
sir,
yung
and then-
validation.
And then I am the research coordinator of our district, sir, and we are going to conduct a virtual research training and workshop. So that's why I'm so busy preparing the necessary materials, inviting the speakers, the resource speakers, and other concerns about this training. So that's why I'm so busy, sir.
You are
So thank you for
the overall
for
manager.
yes, sir. Ganun po.
Oo, parang buwasan ang stress mo. Gusto mo ako na magdi-discuss ng research.
Ay sige sir, one of the times
So,
na kami po
virtual.
magkanta ulit. Yes sir, I will invite you sir.
All right, no problem. Sige. So,
Okay
I
po.
think, yeah, thank you so much. I think we are done. This is not the last time. First time lang ito. Kailan ba yung next meeting natin? May date na tayo, di ba? Ng next synchronous natin.
Bukas po,
Tomorrow
sir.
sir.
Tomorrow na kagad. Sige.
Yes sir.
Sige, tomorrow na kagad. Good.
Yes sir. Ang atin po sir schedule ay 24, 25 and 30. 31 rather.
Sige.
31.
Hopefully, si Ma'am Isla ay magkaroon na ng power tomorrow. At magkaroon na siya, makapag-charge na siya. Sana magkaroon na ng maganda ring internet connection. So, I'll just announce the time tomorrow. Just stand by tomorrow. Anyway, nasa bahay lang naman tayo tomorrow. Titinan ko lang yung schedule ko for tomorrow. I will post the time. I will share also the link, no, for our Zoom class. So kung wala ng question, we will see each other tomorrow and mag-iingat po kayo. At palagi
What time po kaya?
Safe din po.
By tomorrow.
I-announce ko na lang siguro tomorrow. Check ko lang yung aking schedule. Kasi meron din ako mga naka-line up na activity tomorrow. Check ko lang yung aking schedule and then I will post in our GC, no? At lagi mag-face mask para hindi kain ng kain, matatakpan ng bibig. Kasi pag nasa bahay, syempre kain ng kain niya, no? Kasi si Sir Francis, ang sarap ng kinakain niya siguro. Alright, sige, kung wala nang tanong, maraming salamat and hope to see you tomorrow. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye,
Bye,
sir.
sir. Thank you po, si
Goodbye,
Sarah.
sir. Thank you.
Bye, sir.
Ingat.
Thank you po.
Thank you.
Ingat po. God bless po.
God bless.